What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into the premiere episode of Agent Orange Reports. Let's just jump right into it. Our first game was developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Uncharted 2: Among Thieves. Presentation is, in a word, amazing. The production value of this game is top-notch to the point of rivaling any Hollywood blockbuster. Character models are fantastic and chock full of detail and subtleties, whether that be in their clothing, weapons and accessories, or their facial expressions. Textures can sometimes feel inconsistent, like the skin, where on some characters it looks lifelike and realistic, while on others it comes off as waxy and plastic, almost too perfect. The environments are stunning, especially the jungle atmospheres. The complexity and the detail of the foliage to me has no parallel in gaming. Add to these the near perfect dynamic lighting and shadow, and you really are at times taken aback at how beautiful this game can be. The crypt set pieces are no different, although they conjure different emotions all their own. Whether that be a creepy haunted house feeling, or a wonder of discovery and exploration like that in the Indiana Jones films, and sometimes both at once, or more. They've really done an outstanding job at portraying deep, dark, damp dungeons and making them feel authentic in both a real-world and theme park kind of way. The urban settings are presented with just as much diligence as the more rural or fantastical environments. They again are packed with so much detail that you can see how this development team has really figured out how to manipulate the PS3's hardware and put it to some very skillful use. The sound design in Uncharted 2 is handled with just as much passion as the visuals. The environmental sound effects are used perfectly, from birds singing in the distance to the wind whipping across snow-covered mountains. These sounds are used subtly and as a tool to help immerse the player. They never feel like intrusions unless they're meant to be, like an explosion preceding an ambush. The voice acting is top-notch, which in this day and age should be par for the course, but when you play a game like Uncharted 2 and hear the voices done this well, you realize that a lot of other games simply aren't up to snuff. Each character has a distinctive and recognizable voice, and each has his or her personality brought to life flawlessly by the actors portraying them. The emotion and realism brought into play by professional voice actors is invaluable, and Naughty Dog proves that they know this. I've got to say, production-wise, Uncharted 2 is easily one of the highest quality games I've ever played. Not just on the PS3, but on any platform. The story is great. It really is a lot of fun, even if it does use the usual globetrotting, cave diving, relic hunting staples set forth by its genre predecessors. It really does feel like a worthy successor to carry the torch from Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. The narrative starts with our hero Nathan Drake mortally injured and stranded amongst the wreckage of a train on the summit of a mountain range in Nepal. Soon enough, we flash back to the beginning of this particular chapter in Nathan Drake's life to explain to us how the adventure started that brought us to this particular point in time. In the flashback, it's explained that Drake has been recruited by two old friends, Harry and Chloe, to steal an ancient Tibetan oil lamp from a museum in Istanbul. Harry and Chloe reveal to Drake that they believe the lamp can lead them to the lost city of Shambhala, and therefore the Chintamani stone, which they believe to be a massive jewel of untold value and one that legend claims can grant eternal life. To say any more, I think, would give away too much, so I'll just end the story segment of this review by saying this game has everything you could want in a storyline. It's funny, sexy, and full of danger. You get to travel to exotic locations and meet some new and some familiar faces. If you are, like me, a big fan of a compelling narrative to go along with blowing stuff up in your gaming experience, you'd be hard-pressed to find better than Uncharted 2. Gameplay is, for the most part, split into two types. Spelunking-type maze exploration a la Tomb Raider and the Prince of Persia series, or running and gunning. There are a few chase sequences peppered in and a boss battle or two as well, but nothing that really comes off as revolutionary or particularly memorable. The controls are tight and feel great. Everything seems mapped well to the DualShock controller, and you have a few options to swap buttons from left to right or invert your camera controls, which I assume is for the lefties out there. Though I still have trouble believing in this day and age that game developers still can't get it in their heads to allow us to map our own button layouts. I mean, come on, every damn PC game in the world allows you to do it. Sure, give us one or two pre-mapped options, and then give us our freedom. But that's a rant for another video. My only real complaint with the control is the sometimes overly sticky cover system. To me, it felt at times like I was trying to overcome some massive gravitational force in the wall or crate or whatever I was hiding behind, only to finally break free at the most inopportune time, usually ending in my untimely demise. My only other complaint on a control standpoint is the fact that every once in a while the camera goes a little bit wonky and prevents you from seeing where you need to jump, which more often than not is going to kill you. But this is an age-old problem in gaming and certainly not exclusive to Uncharted 2. Still, it's frustrating, and could have been fixed by the ability to have the camera phase through objects or just have them become invisible if in between the camera and character. All in all, this is just a minor complaint. Now, my biggest complaint about Uncharted 2 has to do with the combat in the game. Like I said before, the combat control is tight, whether you're running and gunning or going hand-to-hand mano-a-mano. Now, I know a lot of you think I'm going to complain about the hand-to-hand controls and the lack of diversity they provide, but I'm actually pretty happy with the system they came up with, and I think it's as in-depth as it needs to be. After all, this isn't Fight Night or Street Fighter, and the hand-to-hand itself really is a very small part of the game. My real problem is the way the combat generally unfolds in the game. You see, quite often in Uncharted 2, not unlike the first game, you are besieged upon by wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of enemies. Now, I'm all for the shit hitting the fan in a game, and I really do enjoy overcoming odds that seem impossible. But for some reason, Uncharted 2 does this to excess, and to be honest, it gets boring. When I'm in the middle of what's supposed to be an intense action sequence and I start thinking about going to get a snack or even shutting off my console to watch a movie, there's a problem. I find it especially bothersome because it seems to be repeated ad nauseum, like it was the only idea the designers had for combat. Let's be honest, as far as complaints go, too many enemies to kill is pretty low on the shit list. But with Uncharted 3 right around the corner, I really hope this gets addressed, and not repeated, because the system really does feel broken at times. It is frustrating and easily the game's largest weakness. Unfortunately, while I was making this review, the PlayStation Network was down, so I didn't get a chance to play any of the online. All I can say is that I've heard good things, but having not experienced it myself, it has absolutely no influence on this review. So, just a quick summary to wrap things up. The positives offered by Uncharted 2: beautiful graphics and sound design, a Hollywood-caliber storyline, fun puzzle solving and exploration, and really tight control. The negatives, which are few: camera angles can sometimes lead to unfair deaths, and combat can become tedious at times, and often kind of boring. Overall, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is a solid gaming and entertainment experience, and earns a well-deserved A on its report card. I promise you, if you play this game, you will not be disappointed, but you might want to play the original first. Well, that's that, folks. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the premiere episode of Agent Orange Reports. I know it's a bit rough, and all kind of recycled footage, but I've got plans to evolve and get bigger and badder. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.